YouTube. Just had this in for a setup, clean up. It was pretty dirty. I think my pal just bought this new to himself. This is an LTD Viper 401. I had a silver one of these. I think it was a Viper 50 or a Viper 60, and it was really good. So this will be a much higher up the range one. I think it might have been a bolt-on neck. This one is a set neck, and it's an SG, sort of. I think if you hold it at the right angle, it's an SG. So maybe ESP Indonesia IS 08, so 2008. So it's 14 years old. In that case, it's actually pretty good nick, really. So this has EMG. The guy told me what they were. I can't remember whether it was 81 and 85 or whatever it is. So active pickups. Oh, he might have even mentioned, I think this one might have stainless steel frets. No, that's a different guitar. So yeah, so just basically I just really cleaned it up, polished the frets and the like. So we've got a nice, I always like the Esp volutes on the back, and as usual, like I always say, I'm getting bored of saying it every time I play an LTD. The frets on LTDs are always really well rounded on the end. I think they've got some sort of process or some sort of machine that gives you really domed ends of the edges of the frets, or some system that nobody else seems to have. This one comes standard with Grover tuners, which actually turn really well, but a couple of them are a wee bit kind of vague actually. I don't know whether they've been bashed or something. I mean, they're fine. It's just that you turn them and you go, oh, it's nice using Grovers, and you go, oh, hold on, I moved that there and the string didn't move. A wee bit of that going on. Slippage, but I think once they're in, they're fine. I didn't notice. I just noticed it because when you first turn it, you go, oh, Grover's lovely, just pure smooth, and then it was like not perfect. So we've got funny wavy looking fret markings. Again, as I said this before, the reason I didn't keep the Viper that I had before, the Viper 50 or 60, whatever it was, it's just I'm so used to looking at an SG that this looks a bit Salvador Dali. You know, it's like offset. To be fair, it does actually stand upright, which is one of my issues with guitars that are kind of this. It's kind of lower here than it is here. It means you can't lean it against the wall. This one you can for some reason. I don't really. Oh, I know what it is. It's because see that where the strap button comes out to is probably exactly in line there, so you probably get a perfect flat line for leaning it against the wall between the strap button and the corner. Yeah, so EMG pickups, volume tone, no pushy pullery. Playing through the orange, actually, which used to belong, I found out it actually used to belong to the guy who owns this guitar. So we're expecting lots of cleans, incredibly clean, and loud with the active thing. Very clean. He's going to absolutely hate this, but this kind of, with the active pickups, that app kind of sounds a little bit like playing the normal guitar through that one with its super cleanness. I should probably plug it into that to see what happens when you put mega clean into even more mega clean. You might end up with just so clean that it's mind blowing. I'll do that at the end. Both pickups, tone control. I'm going to take the back off and give it a wee scoosh. But basically, the reason I do all these videos is for guitars I've just set up is just to check everything through properly. Wee bit of scratch, bit of switch cleaner, that'll be fine. The thing you always find with guitars, when you buy a second-hand guitar, a lot of the time you're buying it and it's not really been touched for a few years. That's why they've decided to sell it. You know, whoever it is owned this before probably bought another guitar and used it. It became their one, and then this sat as a backup. And then, well, I'll just keep it as a backup, and then 2 years have gone line. It's like, I can't really board changing the strings on it. It's time to sell it. So you generally tend to get, when you buy a second-hand guitar, it's been unloved for a period of time, which is probably the case here. It's also got a, is it called an Earvana compensated nut? Or something like that. See how it's got like notches in the nut, so that you can see there the E string is longer than the B string, etc. I've never actually come across one of them before. I'm well aware of what they are. You can get one that's is it the buzz feeding system you often get in Washburns, and it doesn't look as staggerdy as that. But what it is the nut looks normal, but the actual inside the groove, you know, so if you imagine your nuts running like this, your groove's that size, and some of them, the actual point, the groove's deeper for the first half sort of thing, so the string is actually technically a little bit longer. The thinking there is it's going to compensate for the intonation things. Like, you know, if you've got perfect E, but when you come up to the G, it's not probably a perfect G. These things are meant to... There's a lot of compromises going on in guitars. That's what gives them their character, their sound, because they are... Pretty much every guitar is inherently a little bit out of tune, which gives it character. You'll ever notice that. See if you play like a keyboard, like my pal used to have, was it a Phantom it was called, a Roland Phantom, and he could sample a guitar into it, and the guitar sound when you hit one note was 100% a guitar sound. I mean, it was sampled to a billion bits per rate and all that. But when you actually tried to play all the notes were absolutely perfectly in tune, so it didn't actually sound like a guitar anymore. It sounded like, you know, it needs that. It's the same thing with voice as well. See when you put like auto-tune on a voice, like, no, I don't mean the share by all that stuff, but I mean, if you just use it the way it was originally intended to be used, you kind of lose some of that, you know, the sort of slight sharpening and slight flatting is what makes it sound real and emotional, as opposed to just being, I'm a computer and every note I sing is exactly pitch perfect. It kind of becomes sterile sounding. So this is to try and make it sound less. It's never going to be perfect. Just with the whole thing about frequencies and stuff, you know, it's like you can tune the open E to the 12th fret. That's fine, but all the ones in the middle are kind of, it doesn't. That's why you get if you ever see, is it Steve Vai? Steve Vai's got one with the frets are kind of, they're not straight lines. They kind of go like that. Everyone's different. A true temperament. Enough gibbering about that. So sounds nice and in tune. Sounds nice. I like it. If I had, I would. I was actually thinking I was going to try and copy the idea somehow, just by, I don't know, you know, cheating a little bit. But actually, if you look at it, the nut actually comes down. You're not going to really see it there because we've got the lights off. But actually hangs over a little bit over the top of the fretboard where a normal nut would be, because some of the strings are slightly longer. Noticeably, I would say the longest one, or the shortest string, because the nut comes down a bit, is the G. Seems to be slightly longer. But these things are weird, because every time you do it, it's like, you know, you change the string gauge and it alters everything. You know, it's like the whole perfectly set up guitar thing going on. This has actually got really thick strings on it. Well, probably not that thick. But I mean, I'm kind of turning to Scott going, oh, strings are pure thick. Ah, my girly hands. You know, it's like, actually this is 10s to 52s. So I think that's kind of, it's normally 10 to 46, isn't it? So it's got 10s at the bottom, and then up the time you get up to here, you're probably on, was it 11s or 12s for the fat strings? But he wanted it tuned down to drop D, so that's why you would put a thicker E to be a D string. I've got it tuned normally just now, so I can play it. I will do a bit of that. Yeah, just a wee bit of crackling. But I mean, just by using it, it'll probably clean it up. It's not bad crackling, as I said, just because it's been unused. 8.5 minutes, I've not even played the guitar yet. Yeah, so for this special occasion of using active pickups, I've looked at my heaviest metaliest pedal, which is a Electro Harmonix Micro Metal Muff. For some so There's actually a couple of switches on this pedal which puts it into. I'm not really finding this incredibly metally at this particular pedal, but there's a couple of pedals. There's a switch on it which I seem to remember making it unusably metal in up and down position. So I'll try them out. So if I go for what we got. That's the high boost. Wow. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Middle. That's the low boost. It's certainly got sustain. The theory about one of the theories about the EMG or active pickups is what it actually is a really low powered magnet. So the magnet doesn't dampen the string the same way as a normal pickup magnet does. So the string is not hindered the same way, so it should ring longer. And they're saying, okay, EMGs are not low powered. They are. They're very, very low powered. They're so low powered they don't work unless you make them into electromagnets, because they've got like preamps built into them to compensate for the fact that they're really, really, really low power. I don't like that. It's like you buy I bought the micro metal muff because it was broken and it was a tenner and I managed to fix it. So that it's a bit more normal muff type. It's very much more my thing. Suppose I'll put it to the tune it's meant to be at, because I can't play with drop D. I'm just going to check the intonation once I've done this. We're trying to a riff over the top. I don't know what the drum bit's set to. That's just decidedly unmetal there. Might not bother with the drums then. Just go for trying to avoid it a wee bit this time. So. Too fast pedals. Johnny channel. Oh, I've obviously bashed the volume knob there a bit. Actually, does the guy in Slipknot? I should know he's got the Telica. Jim Root, does he not use orange heads? In fact, does he not use the dirty channel on that orange amp? So with the EMGs, and it's kind of maybe it's definitely got a thing. I was thinking that I remember playing before with actives, and I think it was a wee Laney I was using. It was like, seems to quite like the orange, though, has to be said. That sounds an awful lot heavier than that metal pedal did. Pure brutal, isn't it? Maybe go for slow and sludgy. Pretty silly. Just as I word going on. I'm going to go for what happens when you go for the very clean amp, the very clean guitar. Not really. What a letdown that was. It doesn't really sound very particularly. That doesn't really sound any cleaner than what this did when it was on half. And then that button turn on. Actually, the cleans it works better with that amp. Whether there's elements of, I'm not, well, that's quite a modern amp, but I think it's kind of based off an old one. I wonder if the EMGs were kind of more designed to work with that kind of amp rather than the vice versa way around. Yeah, so sorry for that. That was my attempt to, I don't know any Slayer songs or anything even remotely like that. But I was kind of recognising bits of what was playing there. So I can't remember, I don't know what any of these songs are called. You know, the famous one. What's it? Is it Rain and Blood or something? Can't remember, but I think I might have just played it there. Yeah, so again, it's as I was saying with that Yamaha Revstar, just still there. The LTD seem to be awfully good guitars. There's not any issues with bad build anywhere. Frets are lovely. Everything seems to be top notch. This is a 401. The one I had was a 50 or a 60, and it was really good. So this is probably significantly higher up. I mean, this might be £1,000 guitar. But I mean, just go for totally obvious. Is it better than a Gibson SG? And the problem is, it's like it doesn't look quite right because it's a wee bit bent. But is it a better guitar? Yeah. If you're not totally like me, I needed to have a Gibson SG for the Sabbath. You know, I mean, I needed to have that. That's why I bought one when I was 18 or 19, whenever it was. And no, never bought another one apart from the one that I just bought recently that was really in a really good condition. Oh, the guy, Thomas, what a job he's done painting it. It doesn't seem like such a my-sided deal, because I mean, I bought it for peanuts. I did put a Seymour Duncan pickup in it, so it wasn't quite nothing, but so I'll swap it for an orange amp. It's like pure, the orange amp's kind of worth more, but I don't really need another amp. And then he added in a couple of guitars. It's like, God, really? Are you sure? He's like, yeah. And now when you look at it, you go, because he's painted it a sort of a very dark turquoise colour, and it looks fantastic. It doesn't look like he was pure ripped off anymore. I was kind of like, you sure? It's like, an amp, I mean, the amp itself, one of these things, that's a £400 amp. Something in that thing anyway, in that range anyway. So I was thinking, that was probably a decent deal, but that SG I had, the one that was all badly relic, did play brilliantly. It was a fantastic guitar. This is much heavier than it. It was a very light guitar, and it seems much thicker and much chunkier. But again, I think that's because that was a 60s tribute, so it was the body. I did this video up at Scott's when it was really thin, and it's actually measured the thickness of it was exactly the same. What was different was, see the chamfer there, it only goes down to there. The 62 one goes to a thinner. The chamfers are deeper, so this edge piece is, instead of being an inch, is half an inch. So the whole thing feels much thinner, but the actual bit in the middle is the same. Yeah, so this is a lovely guitar. All LTDs I've played have been fantastic guitars. I'm not sold on the design aesthetic. They're too modern. It's kind of got that new metal era thing going on about it. You know, it doesn't look, I mean, you get like, okay, it's like, you know, that's got the, you know, the black hardware. Okay, this doesn't really, actually looking at it, it's like there's quite a bit of wear on the top. It's like that's down to brass on there and there, and it's like, that's a strange place for wear. That's why it's worn there. This is a guitar, but I'm sure it could be used for more classical things. You don't put EMGs in a guitar if you want to play what I want to play. But very nice guitar. I've got a bit of paper stuck in the wall. I can't even see the screen because I've got to plug the gig we're playing on Saturday. I'm in the studio tonight rehearsing, and I'm going to set up. I got this stand thing with that light actually. So I'm meant to have the camera on that with a light on it, but it doesn't work in here. But it takes the GoPro, and I can put my phone in below it. So I'm going to put like a fisheye lens on and get Brian the singer to be like centre looking singing, so hopefully his face is going to be like pure right up against the screen, and then we'll have the viewfinder on my phone below it, so Craig can. I'll set it up so we're all in it. We're going into Pirate Studios, which is tiny. Rob the drummer didn't like it last time. They've got a really small room, and it's really. I don't mind a really small room, but it's painted black. It's like, you must remember your mum when you said, "I want to paint my room black," and she goes, "You can't paint your room black. It'll make it look tiny." Which it does. So basically, if you're going to have a small studio, light colours, not black. So it's black, and you go in, and it's like an oppressive thing. You're like, it's just tiny. What's going on? And so we'll be in Pirate Studios, and I'll see if I can get a smile out of Rob, even if he's not happy about it, the drummer. I'll see if I've got the viewfinder on my phone, linked to the GoPro, I should be able to get us all in shot. You know, somewhere looking over his shoulder. Get Brian to stand slightly off to the side, so you get Brian singing, and me and Craig kind of here and here, and then the drummer in shot. Should be fun. But playing Dreadnought Bathgate on Saturday night, and I'm meeting a guy there to give the Ukraine caster, I built the Ukraine caster. I was just going to, I can't remember, I worked it, I spent 50 quid making it, and then I was going to sell it for 100 and just donate that to Ukraine. But this guy is actually Ukrainian, lived here for years, and is going to use it for busking to raise money for Ukraine. So it's like, yeah, it's a perfect. You are the man that wants it. He's from Edinburgh, but he said he'd come over to Bathgate, so I'm meeting him there. So I need to remember to take that with me. Playing with Anthrax as well, who are really good. Actually, the drummer, see, his name's Drummond, so I can get them mixed up. Brian, the singer, or Aussie, actually saw them a couple of months ago and said they were really brilliant. Went up and talking to them after the gig, just a random gig he was at, and they were like, "Oh, he's up here. You're not in Malko Black Sabbath band?" He's like, "Yeah," and it's like, because I've modified the guitars for both the guys in the Anthrax band. That's how I know them. So looking forward to that, and I've never really sat through an awful lot of Anthrax. I would put off Anthrax many years ago because I was in a wee record shop on the high street, which isn't there anymore. It was like an antique shop, and it was like a 12-inch single, and it was like Anthrax, which I'd heard the name of, and then but they did like a sort of in the 80s a sort of rock rap thing with some rappers or something. And I was like, "Can I put on this Anthrax record?" And I was like, "Up here, can I put on this record?" But while I'm looking through your other albums, the guy's like, "Oh, no problem, put it on." I didn't like it at all. I might like it now. That was back in the days when but I think they did a sort of rock rap. But I have heard since then some of their earlier and more normal songs that aren't like a crossover genre, and they're not super mega 80s produced, or mega 90s maybe, even whenever it was they did it. I think they might have done it before Aerosmith did the Walk This Way thing. I think they were kind of pioneers of the getting rappers. But I'm looking forward to it anyway. Should be great. So hopefully see Saturday. I'm going to do I'm going to do a promo vid. So probably tomorrow night there'll be a promo vid of one of the songs in the set. I think I've put up a couple of songs before, and I think I put up Fairies Wear Boots, and I can't remember what other songs it is. I need to see which songs I've already kind of sneaked out. Maybe only 2 or 3 in total, and do make it so it's a different song to put out. So rock on, catch y'all later. Yeah.